How's it going, everybody? Trevor Hubbs with the Mule Deer Foundation podcast, Between Two Furs. It's a funny name. But today we're here with one of our corporate partners, Kryptek, and there's not enough ways for me to say thank you for all you do for the Mule Deer Foundation. We can't do, our conservation staff, people like us, the storytellers, our fundraisers, we could not do our job if you weren't giving us all the incredible support that you do. So first of all, I'm going to start the conversation with thank you so much for all that, and then thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, Mule Deer Foundation is super easy for Kryptek to get behind just because of the culture of hunting mule deer growing up. I was very fortunate to be raised on a cattle ranch in southern Idaho, and that was the center of our family activity. So I'm very passionate about mule deer and what Mule Deer Foundation does.
No, I'm tickled pink to hear that, because that's one of the things that I struggle with as like the storytelling arm of the Mule Deer Foundation. Is, to me, mule deer is just this iconic species of just America. Like, they're just big rack deer. They're all over. They're like a truly wild deer. You can't put them on a high fence. You can't, like, we have mule deer that starve every year with full bellies full of agriculture because they have to be wild. They have to eat sage. And it's always rewarding when you find somebody just also in the industry who has that passion for these just wild deer. So can you tell me a little bit more about that growing up and just what your mule deer hunting like?
Well, I think from the time I was born, from the earliest memories I have, I was in deer camp for 2 weeks out of the year, the full season, and my entire family would come together, all aunts, uncles, cousins, and it was like a giant family reunion. But it was also about filling the freezer.
Sure.
It was about self-sustainment. And even though we were cattle ranchers, the cattle were meant for market, and every now and then we would have some beef, but ultimately the filling of the freezer was a mule deer. And at that time, it was about big bucks were always something that we were always treasured and after, but it wasn't a necessity, right? So
Yeah.
So it was more about just family time was probably the thing that was ingrained into me. And if I fast forward through my life, going into the military and being deployed, I personally would know what opening day was in mule deer season. And I can remember being on battles on the Iraq-Syrian border and actually engaging Al-Qaeda and saying, like, hey, that's for missing another day of opening season, right? I mean, in the meantime, my family's all together. I can't imagine, growing up without that. We didn't go to Disneyland. We didn't go to big fancy football games or baseball games, or we got together in hunting camp, and that was our family tradition. And so it's different for me with regards to the respect I have for the animals, because of it's just an iconic reminder of how I grew up.
No, I think that's the perfect way to put it. I have a similar kind of fascination with them, where it's the wild places have always kind of been there. You feel like you grew up together with specific landscapes, and just I think you nailed it on the passion there. That's probably what kind of helped lead you on your journey to start Kryptek. And
yeah, I mean, it was a passion for hunting.
Yeah.
And I was adjacent and saw some other guys that had success that were able to get into the hunting industry, and it was always like, wow, how cool would it be to be in the hunting industry and be able to support your family and also go basically do what you love, right?
Sure.
And that was the intent. That was the whole idea behind it. And it's not that simple, but that's how it started. And it was just kind of like, let's try this. I've seen some other guys have had some success, and it started off as kind of a concept and turned into a hobby. And quite frankly, I still think that we were in hobby phase for the first 10 years of our brand.
Really?
We're just now on the cusp of actually coming out of that. And it's a lot of work. I mean, it's not all just fun. You don't get to go hunt all the time. You don't get to go fishing all the time. You don't get to go do that stuff, but at least that's where your focus is at, and you're having conversations about it. And then you're able to get behind conservation groups, like Mule Deer Foundation. We're involved with a lot of others, but we're passionate about this one. And then it becomes, now we're a part of the community of conservation, right? So
Absolutely.
The community of conservation, it's guys like yourself, it's Mule Deer Foundation itself, and then it's the vendors, it's the brands, and then it's the individuals, right? And so there's this whole entire community of conservation that I really didn't understand or respect up until I went through this journey to see how we plugged into that.
Yeah, we're kind of like a community within the hunting community. Of it's different.
It's the biologists, it's the fish and game, it's like even folks that may be non-hunters, but they're still involved in, protecting and preserving landscapes and corridors, migration corridors, and so on. There really is a community, and that's where I feel like Kryptek's a part of now. Is we're a part of the community of conservation, and we're just a small part of it. But the fun part about it is
pretty big part for us. We're thrilled to have you.
But the fun part of it is that it's that passion that we get to live out. Not only in our interactions and how we deploy our dollars, but also in our products and our innovation.
That's I love that you said that. It's like, we're not hunting all the time. There is actual work involved, because it's the same thing that I tell like my friends, my family, when they're like, oh, you edit the magazines, you just hunt and write, right? And like, that's a lot more screen time than you think it would be, but I mean, at the same time, I could be writing about washing machines or something for another company, for Maytag, and instead I get to write about deer. I get to write about
something you have a passion about. It's going to be a lot easier to lean into that.
So much easier, and then I get to just run into all sorts of other passionate people, it makes the job so much easier when you're surrounded by people who
have a common goal, common respect. They have a common respect for the quality of that life. Like this,
absolutely,
the ability to be self-reliant, self-sustainment, family-oriented. All these things. I think conservative, and so that's the fun part with regards to interaction with conservation groups, is that you have a mutual goal and passion. And it's super easy when you find somebody that doesn't have that. And then they come and go and they ebb and flow. And especially when they get into positions of authority, you can tell real quick, like, hey, this guy's not really an outdoorsman.
It's you do run into that, and it is shocking how, like you said, how evident it is. I don't want to say you could see through people, but it's just like, I don't know why exactly you're here. Like, so one of our other employees, he's a Marine Corps infantry veteran. We talk all the time, and he had a daughter earlier this year, and he's like emailing me from the hospital about stuff that, hey, make sure this gets done. Make sure that, like, it's like, you don't have to do that, Michael. We got it.
Right.
Go be a dad. Go enjoy this moment. But he's so passionate. He's just like, no, this has to be done. This is important. Like, because in his mind, he needs those deer to be there for when that daughter grows up and is ready. He needs the process of hunting to still be here, and that's a huge part of who he is. And it makes doing the work so much easier, so much more fun.
Well, there's also people that want to be passionate about it. Mm-hmm. They just never were introduced to it. They didn't have the luxury of growing up in a family that was outdoorsmen or hunters and so on. That I think now more so than ever, the barrier of entry is way lower.
Yes.
And so I embraced those people, those individuals as well, that like, hey, I've never had the opportunity. I don't even know where to start. But you can tell it's just something, it's a part of who we are as humans, as men as well. Mm-hmm. And, at the same time that you have to slow down and basically, with open arms, bring those guys into the culture of hunting and the culture of conservation and the community of conservation.
That's a whole concept of this connected by conservation phrase or ethos that we try and live by here at the Mule Deer Foundation. Is everybody's on this conservation journey, whether you're an 8-year-old kid in Pennsylvania with a worm and a bobber, or you're some high-level executive in New York who just went in on his first tuna fishing trip with a guide, and he's like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like, everybody's on this, like, conservation journey, but it is up to us who are farther along on the path or farther up the mountain, however you want to describe it, to turn around and help those people through and help them, like, develop their knowledge base and develop that passion so they can see what we see when we're out in just beautiful places like this.
We've been inundated here over the last 4 years by people moving to Idaho and specifically the Treasure Valley, Boise area, out of California, Portland, Seattle. And rightfully so, they want to get away from basically a community that doesn't believe the same way they believe and defund the police and council culture and so on. And a lot of those guys, now the over-the-counter tags, these areas and units are just saturated. Like, you can't find a flat spot in general season, you know what I mean? But at the same time, they made that conscious decision because they wanted that type of lifestyle, right?
Sure.
And so as a native Idahoan, I have to, like, embrace the fact, like, these guys are moving here for a purpose. I've made the joke, like, they have to live there for 20 years before they can vote and that type of thing. But they're hungry for that, right? They want it. And the best way for, I think, them to do it correctly and properly and understand stuff is like, okay, now we need to like slow down and not be pissed that like the unit that you grew up in high school is inundated with, California license plates. Is go change your license plate, and let's talk about what we should do and how we should do this and that thing, and then introduce them to groups like Mule Deer Foundation or our local chapters and so on, and get them involved.
Well, it's the same thing, and this has been difficult for folks to swallow. In the most recent magazine, there's one out somewhere, but so big thing last year, 2024, was the Prop 127 in Colorado, which is
mountain lion
proposing to ban mountain lion and bobcat hunting, and it got voted down by the people of Colorado. Huge win. First time that's happened that the hunters have been able to organize fast enough to beat this multiple $million-dollar campaign of anti-hunting. And one of the things that I think about is all these signatures that they were getting outside of the Walmart or the Target, wherever you get your groceries. Like, really, most of these people aren't anti-hunting. They just don't know enough. Like in their brain, just in that instant, they're saying, "Yeah, I value cats. I value wildlife," and they're, without really knowing what they're doing, signing on with no knowledge of the North American model of wildlife conservation or how hunting works. They're just signing on. Really, we have to stop looking at, we as hunters, we can't look at them like they're the enemies or this bad guy. Like, sure, there's some of those out there that you're never going to change their mind, but most of these people are just in an instant saying, "Yeah, I value wildlife. That's a great first step. We can start here." And we can work. And you may not become this ultra passionate hunter, but through conversations, through some leadership from folks that are higher up, like yourself, that are higher up on that conservation journey, like, we can get them to a point where maybe they're not going to go run a pack of hounds on mountain lions for the rest of their life, but maybe they start fly fishing. Maybe they take up archery hunting or something, to where they look at it on the ballot next time and they're like, "I don't really know if that's what's best for mountain lions," or what.
They're open to it.
Yeah.
I have never met an anti-hunter that knew more about wildlife or had spent more time in the actual places that they're fighting against or whatever than the actual guys that are out there doing it, the hunters. And very, like, rarely, if never, do you find a hunter that doesn't respect and appreciate all the different species and aspects more than somebody that's an anti-hunter. Right?
Exactly.
And what it comes down to is this animal cruelty. And really, I've seen some debates with vegans and so on, where once you explain like the process of harvesting your own meat, no one else touches it, all the way to the freezer to making meals, then all of a sudden they're like second guessing themselves, because all they ever did was to make that decision based off of some documentary they saw on how cattle were treated in a feedlot.
Sure.
So there is an educational aspect of it. Really what it comes down to is it's the culture of hunting. But what is that? The culture of hunting is about family, of course. It's about having fun. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
But it's also about a respect of the landscape and a complete intimate relationship with the wildlife, which anti-hunting guys do not have. I can promise you, they just have an agenda and they don't even understand it, and it might change to something else. And here's the thing. Hunting was always under attack.
Yeah.
Now, what the rest of the nation got to see starting in this last administration was cancel culture and critical race theory and all these agendas that came out of the exact same camp. Before, it was just hunting, right? Now, all that got put on to how we educate our children, transgender, all these things, and everybody's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, back up! What? Get out of my parenting, right?"
Yes.
It's the same guys, though. It's the same thing. So what happened was, they got exposed.
Yeah.
And then the American people got to vote, right? And now look at it, right? So I think that it's a beautiful time with regards to standing up for what we are as Americans, what our culture was built on. This nation was built on self-reliance, self-sustainment.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you talk about the North American conservation model, I mean, Theodore Roosevelt was brilliant, right? Like, this nation's awesome. We have all these places that we can go and hunt on public lands. You can't do that in Europe. You can't do it anywhere else in the world. So United States of America is super special.
And people don't realize that. We're like, there is a European model of wildlife conservation. There's an African model. And the North American model, I mean, do we make mistakes? Yeah. But there's a reason why there's still bison here and there's not any in Europe. There's a reason why we still have these iconic species. Like, yes, we've made mistakes, but the North American model works. It's the best example we have.
What people have to do, whether they're been hunting their entire life, grew up in a family, or they're brand new to it, is they have to look at this and understand, like, we still have to take the steps to ensure our grandchildren and their grandchildren have the same opportunities that we have.
Absolutely. We need to be better. Like, honestly, you need your own podcast just to tell that story in a way that people can not mimic the story, but mimic the style, where it's not, you didn't accuse anybody from California. You didn't like say you're not welcome. You said we need to find a way to work together to share these spaces that are so valuable to me. And I think that's a huge part of this whole concept is, as hunters, we need to realize that it's not about Trevor's personal hunting trip today. Like, I'm going to run into a rancher. I'm going to run into a first-time hunter maybe. And how I enter and leave that situation is going to dramatically alter the way that person may view hunters and hunting. And it's extra work, but you always have to be a representative for this lifestyle.
Right.
And you have to be able to explain, like, I can go home after 7 days in the elk woods or on the mule deer prairie or upland hunting, duck hunting. I can not shoot a duck all year after hunting 60 days and have just as much fun as when I do. It's have coffee at some of the 8,000 feet elevation on a mountainside.
The having
like, that's
fun
it.
part,
like,
the community part, friendship part. Like, I can appreciate the guys that solo hunt because, they're wanting to accomplish this on their own, and also they don't want to be concerned with anything else. But for me, the best hunting trips have been the ones that have the best camps.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about what got put on the meat pole. It's about the guys that you're with, right?
Absolutely.
And hunting is very different than any other hobbies with that. Fishing is also one, but when you get to sit around a campfire and you get to spend a piece of time a week or 10 days or however long, you don't necessarily get that interaction and that level of intimacy in other hobbies.
Yeah.
And so I treasure when I'm able to spend time in a hunting camp, and that can be, it's entry level, it's super senior level, it's whatever. But I think once people get their head wrapped around this, if they're not already exposed to it, of course they're going to accept the culture of hunting. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, then it's a discussion about where's your problem? What are your problems, right? Like, because you're harvesting an animal. But do you think that magic meat fairy shows up at all these types of things? And we get to see all different types within the Kryptek brand. We'll take criticism and have to defend, even within the hunting community.
Yeah.
Like when you throw up a picture, like the best picture or best story to tell on social media is a picture with a wolf. You're going to get so much interaction, and a lot of the interaction is going to be from hunters that, like, why, they don't believe in hunting wolves. Yeah. Any predator, bears, mountain lions, all those things. But what we try to do is slow down to, like, at least educate, like, why do we go after predators? Well, because bears kill X number of, calves, and bottom line, this is the impact on the community of the elk and the deer, right?
Sure.
But if you want to really get interaction, throw a picture of wolf. If you'll have anti-hunters hit you, you'll have hunters hit you, you'll have guys, and you don't even have to do anything. You just sit back and
let it happen.
Let it happen. But there is aspects, guys that are within the hunting community that go and attack others in the hunting community is asinine.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more of it than there needs to be. It's
just stupid, right? If you're doing it legally, and then don't judge it. It's legal, right?
Yeah.
And in some states, certain things might be legal that aren't in your state. Like in Idaho, you can bait bears. In other states, you can't.
But there's so much cultural differences. Like, so my wife's family is from Wisconsin, and we always grew up like no party hunting. Like, you can't share tags. That's super illegal, and that's legal in Wisconsin. That's out there. I've been hunting for 100 years in the Northwoods. Is 25 farmers get together, and they do these big deer drives.
Yeah.
And they're looking for 25 deer. They don't care who shoots them. Everybody gets to go home with a deer.
Right.
And that's very culturally okay up there. And that just like blew my mind my first time sharing deer camp with these guys. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I shot a buck on the first opening day, and it was a nice little 8-pointer. It was fine. And I was like, all right, well, do I go home? Should I be the camp cook? What's going on? They're like, oh, no, you're going out again tomorrow. You got to keep shooting ducks. Like,
so in my life cycle here, I was very anti, like, you would never, well, even deeper, but I would never hunt in a high fence. Like I was like, if you hunt in a high fence, you are an absolute piece of shit, right? Okay, so in all honesty, I got asked to go on this high fence hunt, and I actually asked to bring my family, right? And so I'm like holding my breath. I'm like, okay.
like, oh no.
But then I got to see, like, once we stepped foot in this isn't like what I had in my mind. It's not like we stepped into a corral. I mean, once we went through the gate, I never saw the fence again, right? And in fact, once I got in there, I was able to also then take my family out and in this controlled environment. First time I ever hunted in a box blind too, by the way.
Really?
And I left that whole thing. I didn't harvest anything myself, but my daughters got to shoot their first deer. And I was like, wow, this is great. I was able to be right there with them. Mom was right there with them. Controlled environment. I'm not going to judge that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge what they do in Texas. I'm not going to judge if it's, bait here, no bait there, or it's party hunt in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's legal, right? And hunters need to be unified. We don't need to be fighting each other. The stupidest fight I've seen is a traditional bow entity that is judging a guy that's hunting with a compound bow. Oh, you're a piece of shit because you hunt with a compound bow. Come on, man.
Yeah. And then you have the opposite too, where they go after the trad bow guys. Like, how many deer did you wound this year? And it's like, guys, just different strokes for different folks.
Well,
but
if you really are super passionate about a super technique or a super way, cool, man, awesome.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe I'll go do that someday.
It's one of our writers on staff here, Joey, excellent archery hunter, compound bow. But I have a 1978 Bear recurve that I got when I was 16 from my grandpa's basement. And he's like, I never use it anymore. Just take it. And I kind of never evolved out of it. Not against compound bows, but like he's been trying to convince me, oh man, you really need to be able to poke out past 35. And I'm like, man, I'm really comfortable with this bow. I like it. There's a lot of bells and whistles on the compound. I don't know, but it's I think that's more of the conversations we need to have. Just like treat everybody like they're your buddy until they prove to you, give you a reason not to. Like,
yeah,
I trust Joey because Joey's a good hunter. Joey's a conservationist. If Joey wants to hunt with a compound, like, good for you, Joey.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Well, the Kryptek brand is our slogan's Battlefield to Backcountry. We're very nested into the tactical military world as well.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate to get to hunt all over the world. I still think that the North American conservation model and the ability of what we have here is incredibly special.
Yep.
I'm super passionate about mule deer and the Mule Deer Foundation. But it truly is I think what separates us from other countries is the community of conservation, and that's everybody, including down to the hunters and everybody that's involved in this community.
No, I think you're spot on. We have a couple of our biologists that don't necessarily hunt, and they took the job before, like knowing that we were hunting Oregon. They're super hesitant, and after 6 months, they're like, "Hey, will you come with me?" I drew a tag, and I got my hunter safety, and just one of the they're easing into it, and then. Maybe they don't pick it up, but maybe they get really into upland or something else. It's fantastic to watch this development. And I do think there's a lot of great conservation orgs out there, and I'm not putting anybody down, but the Mule Deer Foundation does such a good job at just this habitat building that it's hard to remain dispassionate about it. Like you can't help but just get excited.
No, I agree with you. Mule Deer Foundation does a fabulous job.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, and I love what you said about the military too. I know we're running short on time, but. Just about being in a hunting camp, I gotta say that's as close as I think I've gotten to being back in the barracks with my squad mates when I was in the Army. Is like
the camaraderie.
Yeah,
that's a super big deal.
Being on a patrol base in Afghanistan, it's like you're going through a level of hardship because it is hard. Hiking is hard. Carrying meat out is hard. But it's fun hard, and it's you share that. And
somebody asked me a couple months ago. They said, "Butch, do you have any friends that don't hunt?" And I'm like, I don't know. I actually don't. And I'm not that there's not great people that I know, but they're not like in my phone,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that camaraderie piece, just that alone is already for me like a love language, right?
Absolutely.
Like we could sit around a campfire and tell hunting stories until midnight drinking whiskey, and that's like the love language, right? You're telling about those experiences. The storytelling, which you're into, that's a part of this as well.
It's one of my favorite, Robert Ruark, outdoor writer, author, one of my favorite quotes from his is like, the best thing about hunting is that I have almost as much fun talking about a hunt after or thinking about a hunt before as I do on the hunt. And I'm like,
awesome.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a true statement for sure.
But, yeah, I mean, I know we're running short. I can't thank you enough for everything you do at Kryptek. Love your gear, love your support of conservation, not just the Mule Deer Foundation. I know you're engaged with a bunch of organizations, and it's always wonderful. It's a pleasure to sit down with somebody who walks the walk. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.